Hi there, and welcome to the Living with SMA podcast. We're here to have conversations about living with spinal muscular atrophy. Throughout this podcast, we will be covering lots of different topics, from preparing for university, getting the most from your personal budget, sex and relationships, and lots more. So we invite different hosts from across the SMA community to come together here. We want to answer your questions, provide you with useful tips and recommendations, and also share personal stories. So please do reach out and connect with us here at the charity SMA UK. Thank you for listening, and we hope you find the podcast useful.
Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of Living with SMA. Today I'm joined by a whole wide range of guests, and we're going to be focusing on what life is like with SMA, from when we were diagnosed up until where we are today, to see some of the differences and some of the things that we have in common, and hopefully it can be full of some insightful tips. Right now I'm joined with Joan, and hopefully her story will be inspiring to others and to anyone that's listening. Joan, if you don't mind, if you can just give us an introduction about who you are, so we know who we're talking to.
Hi, I'm Joan Turner. I'm from Glasgow in Scotland. I've got SMA type 2, 56 on Monday. So I've got a lot of experience of SMA and living with it and enjoying my life, really. And now I've took early retirement, so I'm enjoying it even more. It's brilliant.
That's fantastic. And what was your career? What did you do before you retired?
I worked in the housing sector with repairs, and then later in factoring and dealing with owners' inquiries as a business advisor. So it was always really busy, dealing with resolving issues, complaints, inquiries, just non-stop all the time, never ending. And I worked full time, managed that, and I think that probably helped being, kept on the go all the time. I would be up early every morning. I'd be away at 7. I wouldn't be into 5, and that was 5 days a week, right up until maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, and I reduced it by a day. Still mainly done the same hours, but I just felt that I loved my work and just wanted to keep going, loved being busy. And I managed it. Physically, it was all right. Maybe a lot of people wouldn't have been able to, I get that. But I think when you've got an ability there and keep going, then I would always do that. I think that probably looking back, the one thing I think I should have done earlier was move into my own house, because now I live independently. And I think that would have given me even more motivation to do stuff. But I've done quite well working, so I'm quite happy with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Really glad to hear that. And tell me, when were you officially diagnosed with SMA?
Probably when I was maybe about 3, 4, around about that. I vaguely remember some things. I think I went into hospital. I think probably my mum and dad knew something wasn't quite right. But bearing in mind that's over 50 years ago, they probably never even heard of SMA, or I don't even know if muscular dystrophy, how much was known then. But I think then they did realise something wasn't quite right, because I wasn't walking, crawling more than anything. And then I'd get tested. So I can remember being in the hospital, getting a muscle biopsy done, which was like a whole operation. I still got the scar. I think now they just go in and take a wee bit of tissue. But no, it was full-blown operation. So I had that, and that's when they told me that I had SMA. But when I look back at my records now, it says I had type 1, which obviously didn't have. But I think that was lack of knowledge and understanding then. and
Yeah.
probably quite a bleak outlook. I think my mum was told, well, probably would never go to school, lifespan probably not very
Mm-hmm.
good. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there were any sort of optimists then, to look forward to what you could do and what you could achieve, compared to now what we
Yeah.
have done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, I can totally. I can totally relate to that. That's how this episode has really highlighted for me how similar life has been for people with SMA. So that story that you've just told is very similar to mine. My mum and dad obviously knew that something was wrong, and I'm 37 now, and even back then there still wasn't a lot of data, especially in South Africa, where I was born, and
Mhm.
just kind of the same. Like your child is not going to live past a certain age, and don't expect much from a life because there's not much that we can predict or tell you because it's a condition we don't know much about, and um, uh, it's for me it's just given me so much reassurance, and I know what my life has been like, and I have achieved the things that I've achieved because I've pushed myself to do that.
Yeah.
But knowing that there's so many of us out there that are doing the same thing, it's really inspiring. I mean, you've been around longer than I have, and you've lived a very full life by the sounds of it, which is fantastic.
Mhm.
That's amazing, and it's really good to hear that SMA didn't get in the way of you being Joan. You
I
know,
know.
it's really great.
That's it. I
Um,
think it's just
it,
part of you, isn't it? It doesn't maybe defines you in a sense and makes you what you are, but you just grow up with it. So I think if you've got
yeah,
a positive outlook in life and want to do certain things, then you should be able to achieve that. And definitely don't
absolutely.
sort of put things in your way, or people will tell like that you wouldn't go to school, and well, you did go to school, you got full education, able to work like anyone else. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to. And then now there's things like the
Absolutely.
different treatments, like Ristiplum and things like that. That I don't know if you're on Ristiplum, um, and they were
Not
opportunities
yet.
that
Not yet,
you
but
never thought
soon.
would have been there. Yeah. So that things like that are great now. There are much more opportunities out there and available for kids. So there's no reason why they can't live a full
Hmm.
and active life. I think when I started school, I didn't even have a wheelchair. That's how basic things were. They never, when I went to go to school, obviously I can't
Hmm.
walk, and they're like, well, how do you move her about? Well, we carry her. And so eventually I got a wheelchair. And you look at young kids now and they're zooming about and all sorts of gadgets, aren't they?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so that was
It,
my first sort of
it's
wheelchair.
it's it, yeah. It's really great to see how times have changed and the technology that's become available and the facilities that have come available for us as people with disabilities, not necessarily just SMA, but the disabled community as a whole. Um, I guess the next question that I would have for you is, by the sounds of it, you've answered it a little bit already, but what kind of support was available to you back then when post-diagnosis?
I don't think there were much support. Like when you were younger, maybe out with the school, there definitely wasn't. When eventually there were a school that was mainstream education, but it was still a separate school from able-bodied, which I don't think is right. I think that's just totally wrong. Everyone should be mixing together. We're doing the same education. All we need is a more accessible building, just like you are in your workplace or your house. It's not any different. So I think we should all be integrated together. Because I know when I started work, you had a lot of people's different attitudes and what they seen because they'd never grown up with anyone with a disability. So, I mean, really good friends now with a lot, and they've all admitted that in the beginning they thought, oh God, is she going to have a chip in her shoulder? And, you know, is she going to be able to say anything to her? What's she going to be like? How's she going to react? And then I think as they got to know you and know that you're not any different, they could feel at ease, but then why didn't they grow up in school like that? So that's why I think we should mix from a very early age. I've got my niece who's 10, has grown up with me in the wheelchair, and she helps you and does things and doesn't even think anything of it, and you're probably the same. With family and friends, people now having kids, and which way back then that probably was never going to be heard of. But now you hear loads of SMA mums. I don't know, I think maybe when I grew up, we weren't thinking like that then. But they weren't the support they were. There's things like the SMA group and Muscular Dystrophy UK now. I think I joined the SMA group when it first started as the Jennifer Trust, and it was Anita, whose daughter had passed away with type 1, and that was how I'd get involved then. So it was a good resource. It was good to be sharing stories with other people and experiences. I think that really helps everyone. And then I get involved with the muscular dystrophy group. But when they saying that, you know, involved too much, I was always doing things and loved going out concerts and parties and whatever out with pals and that. So I probably wasn't heavily involved in it, but it was good to know that that resource was there. And certainly now, I think you use it more and you've got the internet. There is so much there for you now to learn, which back then, as you know,
absolutely,
you didn't know anything really.
Yeah. Well, it's absolutely, that's spot on. You know, SMA UK has really become a foundation in my life. You know, coming to the UK 20 months ago and having my understanding of SMA, because when I was diagnosed, I had a muscle biopsy, and all I was told is I have a version of SMA called Kugelberg-Wieland syndrome, and you kind of Google what that is, and you find out that it's SMA, and you're like, okay, I've got SMA, and then you come to the UK, and the doctor tells you, well, technically we don't acknowledge muscle biopsies as a form of diagnosis anymore, so we need to do a genetics test, and once we do that, we'll be able to tell you what type you actually have. And it's only recently that I found out that I'm type 2, you know, and you know, you were talking about treatments that are available, which were never available back when we were younger. I'm waiting for confirmation of delivery date of Risdiplam, so I'll be starting that journey soon. And I think I think when we look at some of the treatments that are available for the youth of today, there's amazing things happening in the medical field and in the pharmaceutical industry that could be making a major impact and make a major difference in people's lives and help them live a much fuller life than probably what you and I and others similar to our age have been able to do, because we never had that kind of assistance available. And I think SMA UK have done a fantastic job to try and be that resource, as you said, to be the go-to organization to help people understand SMA, to know what's available for them, and to kind of be the beacon of hope that you can be whatever you want to be. It doesn't matter whether you're type 1, 2, 3, and beyond, you know. So it's really great to hear that. The last question that I have for you is, um, looking back on your life so far, what's the one thing you would tell your younger self?
I think to be as active as you can, to definitely live independently. Wish I'd done that early 20s. And even though I love my mum and dad and they're brilliant, they still are, still help. I think we could all have had a better and more productive life because I could have been able to do more and so could they. And I love now that I've got so much independence, been living on my own now for almost 13 years. And being able to make your own choices and do what you want, and such a different life. But keeping active, I think, looking back, I wish I had done more with exercise. I used to do it a bit at school and go to physio and things. Then you leave school and you go to pubs instead of going to physio. So you think, oh, I can't do that. And all that movement will still be there. And then you realise, no, that movement isn't there when you go to do it. So I think they are a bit more conscious now about how exercise can help a bit more rather than... I think we all used to think, well, your muscles aren't going to improve, so why bother doing it? But now we've got Ristiplam, exercises, so... Who knows what's around the corner? I never imagined I would see any form of drugs, so it's brilliant that we've got that. Yeah, but I think
I can totally.
Sorry.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I also thought that in my time I would never see a treatment. I think I even remember having a conversation with a friend in my late teens saying that there'll never be a treatment for this. It's too complicated. So why bother? And in hindsight, for myself as well, I think, wow, you knew so little, So it's crazy. I'm really, really excited to see what the future holds and to be able to do episodes like this with people like yourself and the other people on the episode with us, to just show others that anything is possible. And I just want to thank you for being here today and for sharing your story. And I hope we will cross paths again because it's a great story you have to tell.
Thank you. It's been nice chatting.
You've been listening to the Living with SMA podcast. We hope you can join us again next time, but in the meantime, please don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. You can find out more on our website at smauk.org.uk.